Hey, welcome back to the channel. I'm Kyle Martin. We're up in my studio today, and in today's video we're going to be working on a 24 by 30 inch painting of St. Joe's during the golden hour. St. Joe's is kind of a cornerstone of downtown Baraboo. It's one of the largest towers that you see when you overlook the cityscape of Baraboo, and I happen to have a really nice photo reference of it that I shot several years ago. Here's the photo reference that you can see. I used to work in a building that was right across the street from St. Joe's, and I just thought that it was very iconic. And a lot of times during the winter, I would overlook St. Joe's and I would see it with this kind of light hitting it. I was working at the Boys and Girls Club at the time, and I would overlook out of one of the windows at the Boys and Girls Club, and I would see St. Joe's all lit up with golden hour light. And it's always been a motif that has stuck with me throughout the years. This photo reference that I'm working on today is actually from either 2013 or 2014. I don't really know. I think it's from like January of 2014. And so I've had this photo reference for a long time. I've never done anything with it, but I do have a couple of things that are gonna help me today. These are sketches that I did in the field from life. They were starts, okay? So I have two little paintings here that I started out in the field and never finished. But that's gonna be helpful because during the first part of this session today, I could see this painting being really helpful for getting some of my color reference and getting a start on the canvas today. Also, I always have a whole bunch of golden hour plein air paintings that I've done throughout the years, so I can pull some colors from those. I do know that the best way to find a direction when starting a painting is to complete a small thumbnail sketch in Greyscale. So I'm just going to take a little bit of time to connect with the subject through drawing it. I will create a value marker sketch and we'll take it from there. Here's the grayscale. I've made these just two little it's just two little pieces of paper that I cut out of construction paper, and they're L's. I can start to decide to myself, do I want this to be a vertical canvas? You know, if I want it to be a vertical canvas, I could position it something like this. And I really kind of like the layering of shapes that's happening in this composition. One reason that I want to paint it is there's this little puddle of water in the alleyway that is reflecting the orange into that area. So if I want to do a vertical composition, I could start to think like that. I could crop in even further if I wanted. Or if I wanted to do a horizontal composition, I could use these two little L cropping frame devices to do that. I don't know, I'm gonna take a little bit of time to think about that. But right here we have the drawing that I completed on drawing paper. So I did a site-size drawing off of the image reference, which is on the projector that you can see there. And then I rubbed vermilion colored pastel onto the back and transferred it onto the canvas. I don't think you can see it very well just because the lines are kind of light, but I have the same image as the drawing on the canvas at this point. I'm working on a gray toned canvas. I'm working on a gray toned canvas in this situation, and the reason for that is I want the light that's pouring onto the side of the St. Joe's Church to be even more warm, and so I'm going to place it in a ground that is very cool. I'm mixing a few colors on my palette based on the colors that I had on my en plein air references. So I'm after a 50% tone, which is sort of this gray purple color here. You can see that the color is pretty close, and if I test it on my little value palette here, the value is pretty close. Just a little more mixing and I'll have it right. Well, here's some of the colors that I mixed on my palette that I'm going to be using. They're colors that I based off of this little start to a plein air painting. This is just a sketch that I did on location, but I think that these colors are going to be helpful. I'm going to get going on the canvas now. I'm going to redraw everything on the canvas and block it in. I'm just going to spend the rest of my painting session today blocking this one in. Well, it's been a couple of days since I've been up in the studio, but this is where the painting was left at. The GoPro cut out as I was painting this last time, and so I didn't get a whole lot of footage, but I'm gonna keep going today. Hopefully I'm going to add a little bit of variation. I'm looking to really work on the foreground today and get some variation into it and take it a step further. This is the second day that I'm working on this painting. I'm guessing it'll take 3 or 4. And I'm trying to get this done by the end of the weekend. So let's get started for today's work. I'm just gonna start mixing up some colors, thinking about the values, and I'm gonna repaint the whole thing and move up into the lit up. It's the 4th and final day of painting. I feel like the lit up part of the St. Joe's Church is what needs to be worked on. I did go into my back rooms and into my archives, and I found this little painting of St. Joe's this is probably from 2009, and it's a golden hour piece, and I might be able to pull some colors off of this to help me with my decision making as I'm finishing up the painting today.